everybody, and welcome to the show. Glad to be here, and happy Monday. I'm excited to be here today. We got my friend Noel Fritsch is going to be joining us, and he's got some interesting info on the one and only Susie Wiles, who apparently is a little bit confused in her job and, just not overly aware of some very important topics and details that, I don't know, I would think that as Chief of Staff for the President of the United States, you might want to be aware of. But we'll get to that. Sometimes willful ignorance is a thing. We'll get to that here in a minute. Been a big weekend. You know, we come off of AmFest, which was an interesting thing. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that whole thing. It was interesting to see. I'm glad that Turning Point let everybody speak. I'm glad that despite Ben Shapiro's best efforts, nobody was deplatformed. I like to see that, listen, including Shapiro, right? I don't like him. I think he's a weenie. I think he's a weasel. But I'm glad he's got a platform to speak on. I just don't like him asking for other people to be deplatformed. But he got out there and picked a fight. And it was an interesting thing to me to see because, this is Charlie Kirk's stage, a guy who literally died for free speech. And he's up there essentially saying that we need to ban these people from the conservative movement. You know, anybody that doesn't fall in line with his idea of what people should think. It was absurd to me. And so one of the big topics was infighting. Well, there's infighting. Well, no, there's debate. And I think healthy debate is a good thing, right? As long as no one is getting deplatformed and there's no censorship occurring, I don't mind people debating with each other, right? We should be debating. The problem is absolutism on it, right? If you don't believe my way, you're an anti-Semite. If you don't believe my way, you're a traitor. Now, here's the deal. I live in the U.S., and I support the First Amendment. So the only kind of issue I have is when someone's questioning our free speech, right? And you telling me that I can't have an opinion, or if I do, I'm a racist, or I'm a this, or I'm a that, is absurd. I'm a big fan of Israel and the Jewish people. I am not at all a fan of Netanyahu, though. He's a crook. And I'm allowed to think that because we fund him with our tax money. So I get an opinion, right? We're going to get into that. And it's really relevant because one of the big topics we're seeing right now is the question of Islam. What do we do with that? We got a huge Islamic population here, and there's problems with it, right? Now, Islam's going to have to figure out what they want to do. If they want to be present in a country governed by a constitution, a Christian nation governed by a constitution that allows for free religion and free speech, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do, right? Because there's issues. We're not okay with the Sharia law here. You don't get to do that. You can practice, whatever sort of internal policing you want to practice, as long as it's not in violation of our law or our Constitution. And that's the way that is. So the tension right now between the sellouts who are bought and paid for by Netanyahu, the people who are just outright anti-Semitic, the people who are pro-Islam, anti-Islam, we just got a whole mess. It's like Israel is coming to the United States, and all the mess that they have over there is coming here. And we got to do it better. We got to do it better. So we'll hit some of that. But like I said, the big thing we want to hit out is, like I said, we got my friend Noel Fritsch, National File. We're going to be talking about Susie. We're going to be talking about Tina Peters, a bunch of stuff like that. So I'm real excited, and I want to get into that. It's big news. So before we do, givesendgo.com/Renslaw. Givesendgo.com/Renslaw. We got to have your support. You guys keep us functioning. Without your help, we can't do anything. It's Christmas. Send me a present. No, I'm joking. We actually, I do need your support. We do. We need your support. We need it a lot. We need your help. So givesendgo.com/Renslaw. Also go to TomRenz.com. TomRenz.com. And so check out our affiliates, support all of our guys. Remember, the war on testosterone is real, folks. Global Healing, men's hormone support, best natural product you can get to support testosterone levels. And if you're a man, trust me, you need it. It's universal, the water supply, everything. Today, we're talking about my friends at Farm Easy Bank. Farm Easy Bank, Ivermax 15 right here, right? Can you see that? Let's see here. We got a glare. There it is. There it is. Ivermax 15. Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful product. Pharmaceutical grade ivermectin, Fenben, all sorts of things from Farm Easy. Listen, if you're not healthy, you're not free. You can't be enslaved by sickness, by illness, by being unwell. You want to be prepared. You want to be ready. Farm Easy, these are my people. These are the wonderful, wonderful products, wonderful company. Listen, not only are they wonderful products and not only they're a wonderful company, but remember, they have pharmaceutical grade products. It's not garbage. It's not the cheap stuff. It's the real pharmaceutical grade products. Farmeasybank.com, PHARM, easybank.com. Use checkout code RENS. Make sure you're checking out Ivermax 15. Their Fenbrand's great. They've got all sorts of wonderful products there. Be safe, be healthy, be proactive. You want to get this stuff. You want to get the quality stuff. Big discount if you use checkout code RENS. Checkout code RENS, 20% on Ivermax 15, all their other stuff. So make sure you're checking them out. FarmEasyBank.com. Farm Easy, they're the people I use when I need ivermectin, when I need Fenben, when I need this stuff. Make sure you're checking them out. All right. Last but not least, I got a sale going on my Substack, right? Make sure you're checking out our Substack. We got a Christmas sale going. If you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you check it out. Substack's a wonderful, wonderful platform. They don't censor. They let me say what I want. They're a great platform. So make sure you're checking out and supporting on Substack. TomRenz.substack.com. TomRenz.substack.com. All right. Without further ado, I want to bring on my friend Noel Fritsch, and I want to get right into this. He's got some great stuff. Noel, how are you doing today?
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. By the way, guys, National File, make sure you're supporting these guys. Wonderful work. They're great people, and they deserve your support. They are really, really good people. Make sure you're checking them out. Noel, tell us what's going on. The story is that you actually had a little bit of a conversation with the one and only SW last night, Susie
Yeah.
Wiles.
So I've been in comms with Susie Wiles going back to 2018 while she was still kind of in DeSantis world. She was kind of in the middle of getting on her way out of there and into the Trump world. And some people might disagree with me. I almost think that was engineered. But we put up an article in 2018 that was all about basically her daughter helping to be one of the original chaos sowers in the first administration with, you might remember this, with the EPA and the Department of Interior, Pruitt and Zinke.
Oh, really?
As soon as we got into that first administration, Tom, the powers that be, all the people that are kind of still asking for censorship today, all the people that are still kind of pushing us toward today, back then, one of their big objectives was, of course, to keep the price of oil very high. And so they had to go right after Interior and right after the EPA. And they did. Right. They created total chaos. And, the interesting ties, of course, end up, all of this stuff connects. Everything that you were just talking about in the lead-in with censorship kind of in our own Republican Party and the all of these other countries that basically demand total fealty, even though 75% of the residents of that particular country actually want Netanyahu gone as well. Well, all this stuff connects as chance.
It does.
Chance. It's the way things work would have it. And by the way, Susie ended up. It all connects. Susie's connected to internet, foreign policy, domestic policy. It all connects. Everything we've seen in the last 3 months with Utah and UVU and Charlie Kirk, and so it's all connected. So Susie, I had called me up in 2018. She wanted me to take this article down where I was basically outing her daughter as one of the sources of all the chaos. And I'm no good at this whole DC horse trading thing, Tom. I didn't get anything out of this trade. I basically said, okay, you asked nicely. I'm happy to, take this thing down. There were no disputes about any of the reporting. It was all about basically the reason she wanted it down was her daughter was basically also shown to be kind of like, how shall we say this, moving through many of the staff members in the administration on her way up the ladder, Tom,
Yeah.
if my meaning holds there. And so
Yeah.
I want to be nice and couth for all the audience
Let's
that's listening.
let's call her a social climber.
Yes. Yeah. And so, and her daughter did not end up being able to stay in the admin. She was actually escorted out unceremoniously by the FBI. She couldn't pass her FBI background check. Her name is Caroline. Well, so Susie called me. I took the thing down. I just got so fed up with this thing. During the Biden years, there was, what am I going to do with all of this information about basically Susie Wiles being essentially almost an agent of chaos inside of the Trump administration? Not a lot. And so, but now here we are in our first year. We're all hopeful. Everybody fought real hard to get rid of Biden and get Trump back in the White House. We want him to succeed. And here we are, 11 months later, and it's a failure by basically every metric. He just gave a big speech about how great he is. But, there's one key thing that I haven't heard him say, and that is like, I need Congress to deliver bills codifying all of my executive orders to my desk right now, while we Republicans have this thing called, what is it called again? Let me see. Oh, the total majority. We own the House and the Senate and the White House.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that. And so I'm sorry, Donald. Your administration thus far, a bunch of EOs does not a successful administration make.
No.
It'll be flipped right over as soon as the next president comes back in when it's a Democrat, which it will be almost guaranteed. Because guess what? Your genius campaign manager and chief of staff is, shooting all of MAGA populism and America First populism in the face on a daily basis. So I resurrected my old story. I said, enough is enough. I put the story back online. We published it, and Patrick Howley helped us, the great Patrick Howley, put it up at Big League Politics. That was the project that we had before National File. And but that you can read it at National File now. I published the entire article in total at National File. And then a whole another round of sort of anti-Susie Wiles media ensued. And she started texting me and wants to communicate again. We've been in brief comms over the years about things here or there. But I don't enjoy the access like a Laura Loomer might, Tom.
No.
They're not offering me jobs in the Pentagon. They're not saying, "Hey, come cover this, Noel." I don't. I guess I don't play nice with other Republicans. They don't want me in their club. And so then what we saw was Susie's response to what I would say is a pretty high level of sort of viral content out there in the internet space was she did like a media tour. She was like on CBS. She did like,
it was terrible.
And then the famous one was the Vanity Fair, where she takes a huge dump on a whole many
everybody.
Yeah. I got to say this, if we were to review that in detail, which we could do, and in the third paragraph of the New York Times article, she's making excuses for Epstein. And I'm going to go through some of my communications with her about Epstein specifically here in a minute. She's, JD Vance is a conspiracy theorist. Just the third paragraph alone of the New York Times article is tantamount to treason, I would say. When we lose in 2026, we're going to lose either the House or the Senate or both. And the Donald Trump and the MAGA populist surge here that we've been trying to push along here for the last decade now will come to a halt. It will be the fault of Susie Wiles.
That does look like it.
Okay. And so, my text messages with her are, basically I'm demanding that she and the administration get serious.
No, wait. When we lose in the midterms, which unless Trump does something major to reverse course and overrides her, the question, you said that it will be her fault. Do you think it's in her mind, is it a fault or the goal? I mean, that's the real question.
Fair
because
question.
It's a fair question to ask.
Yeah. I think for those kind of in the inside, it's, I think that we see that she's doing this on purpose. You don't just go talk to Vanity Fair and engineer this whole thing. The only way, look, when you're doing press, everybody knows there's like a certain way to do press. There's just the same way there's a certain way to do, foreign policy. You don't
Yeah.
bring, I would argue talking to Mamdani is foreign policy, first of all, but certainly talking to the other freaking Al Qaeda terrorist is foreign policy, right?
Yeah.
Well, you in foreign policy, I went to the Institute of World Politics for grad school. I am a grad school dropout. I have to cop to that. But you don't elevate some of these people to a certain level of stature at all, ever. Certainly in the Oval Office, especially a terrorist who's like literally on the FBI's most wanted list. The same thing goes for Vanity Fair with the practicing of professional PR and communications. You would think that the chief of the staff to the White House in the Oval Office would know how to do this. This is basic stuff. If you're going
Yeah.
to talk to Vanity Fair, guess what you do? You say, hey, the only way I'm doing an interview is if my cameras are there and we're rolling it live. You roll your video live and uncut. Otherwise, no deals.
Not hard.
Sorry, sayonara. See you never.
Yeah, this isn't hard. I mean, this is press 101. You know, I advise people, listen, print any print interview, you make sure you're recording it. They know you're recording it, and then that you got to have some sort of a deal on on the editorial rules, because if you're Susie Wiles and if you actually care about MAGA, you're not going to let a place like Vanity Fair interview you 11 times with no rules. It's insane.
That's right. Yeah.
I
So
mean, which makes her either completely incompetent or just downright evil, because it's one of the two. That article ripping the Trump administration makes her either an idiot or just downright evil. But let me take that a step further, right? Because the article makes her an idiot or evil, but the fact that she would then act like she was surprised by it, I mean, it makes me incredulous.
Yeah. So she's playing dumb, and I don't believe she's dumb. The Susie Wiles that I can't say I know her. However, I would say that I know her well enough, and I've been in enough communications with her to understand how she works and her methods, right? And so she is not an unintelligent person, and so she's very savvy, in fact, and
Yeah.
I know that to be true. And so my conclusion is that she is intentionally tanking this administration and what it stands for, which is America First populism and the MAGA movement, right? Which is putting America first. And we know this. I mean, it's part of that report that I put up, back in November, really had to do with all of her lobbying activities with both Ballard Partners and Mercury Public Affairs. Horrible public affairs group, Mercury. It's one of the worst there is, if not the worst. And so,
Well,
yeah,
you don't like guys that promote Pfizer and Gilead and Gavi and Alibaba and pick your foreign. I mean, that's about as corrupt as it, but they're owned by Omnicom.
Yeah. So she's in fact, there was a period of time in there for about a year and a half, 2 years where at Ballard they were not filing their FARA registration like at all, and to be taking payments from foreign countries. And so I can't remember if Qatar was involved in that tranche, but certainly China was. They were not reporting that they were doing business with China. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and then later on they did register, and then you see who they're working with. And when you're working with any of these big state firms in Alibaba or whoever, in China, you are working with the CCP, with the PLA. I mean, with the state of China. That's who you're working with. And so, yeah, no. So she's been around long enough. It strains credulity to believe that these doe-eyed pictures or deer in the headlight pictures, whatever, whichever they are, or like some of her pictures, she looks like totally stunned. It's like, wow, what are we looking at here? That she's somehow surprised by any of this. She knows how this works, and so she's texting me, and I'm making demands, and I'm saying, look, We got to get a couple of things. First of all, we have political prisoners on U.S. soil in the state of Colorado with Tina Peters, and she says, "Which pardon?" Like the night after Tina Peters got a pardon,
so
she didn't.
wait a second, wait a second. Susie Wiles, the president chief of staff, who the president just issued a very, 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 very high profile pardon for her, is pretending she doesn't know who Tina Peters is.
Yeah, and even after I had an exchange with her, so it's just her playing dumb. Like you know, weeks ago I had told her, look, we need the pardon. We not the pardon. We need Tina free. You guys need to go send in, some authorities to get this thing handled. I would argue the way to do Tina Peters' release would be kind of like we did with civil rights with Eisenhower, and just go ahead and nationalize the National Guard, federalize the National Guard, and send in the 101st, 102nd Airborne. My personal recommendation is just go send SEAL Team 6. Tina Peters' son was a Navy SEAL.
Yep.
Fortunately, she's a Gold Star mom, which means, of course, he died in service to his
Sadly.
country. The SEALs ought to go free Tina Peters. That would be perfect symmetry. Well, so here she is pretending like she doesn't know what's going on. I have a couple of other demands. My whole approach here, Tom, is that we need to have serious action from those in charge. And right now,
Yep.
this is not a serious country if these people that were running the White House and the Oval Office just don't even know what's going on. But they do know. They know that they're setting up their pals and their buddies in roles where they'll be able to, go enrich themselves and their cronies.
Yep.
As soon as they leave office, we know that.
Yeah. Well, let me get your reaction to this, Noel. So you've got a situation where, I mean, I don't think it takes a real genius in light of the 25 election, a couple of special elections that have occurred. I mean, you're going to be a little bit hard pressed arguing that the midterms are going to be anything short of a bloodbath. Now, do you find it as interesting as I do? So Wiles is out there saying, well, we're going to have Trump everywhere. We're going to make it, basically, she wants to make the midterms a referendum on Trump. Now, to me, she's been undermining MAGA. She's a Bush loyalist. The Bush family has said they want to come back into power. They've been open about that. They want to retake the Republican Party and take it back to the Paul Ryan, George Bush, neocon, just garbage party that they were. Susie Wiles comes in, makes MAGA look terrible. I mean, MAGA looks completely inept and incompetent because she's doing everything she can to undermine it. Now she wants to put Donald Trump out there, hardcore on this election that she set everybody up to lose. So now you tell me, does it look to me like she is setting Trump up? She's setting this up where the midterms are going to be a referendum on Trump. And when the Republicans lose and the Democrats come sweeping in to impeach Trump, to go after Trump, whatever they do, they're going to say, listen, we had a referendum on MAGA. MAGA's dead. It's gone. It's over. And we need to go back to the Bush neocon Republicans. And to me, it just looks like a setup.
That's exactly how they operate, Tom. You hit the nail on the head. That is what they do. And they did it with, by the way, the pro-life issue in the midterms, conveniently, and we've got more abortions than ever too after the Dobbs decision, and we got rid of Roe v. Wade. And then what did they all? And then remember, the big red wave turned into Kevin McCarthy's little pink trickle. Very, very impotent Mr. Kevin McCarthy ended up being, and so no big red wave, and they're doing the same thing right here in this midterm that they did with Paul Ryan. Back in all of the leadership in 2018 was they all quit and took their ball and went home. Remember, Paul Ryan quit. They all quit. Everybody quit, and like 30 of them. I can't remember the exact number. It's like that though. We could pull up that inline, and they're doing the same thing. And that's exactly it's fait accompli. They're script writing the narrative that this Trump thing just isn't working. We got to go back to the old ways of doing things. And come on. Like, get real. We know you haven't even tried yet. We can't barely get a bill through one tax cut, back in 2017 and 18, and then whatever the BBB, big beautiful bill, it's horrible piece of legislation that they passed. One thing we get through, that's it, and that's your effort. Sorry, that don't cut it. And so Yeah, look, the Donald Trump famously read that poem for everybody, about the snake, and the line. Honestly, he should play it for himself again at one of his next rallies. But I'll get to the snake in a second. The rallies are already failing,
Yeah.
Tom. Donald Trump just Thursday came to North Carolina, here where I am, and the rally was a huge bust. Okay, and nobody has. There's no excitement. And he came for this guy I'm sorry, what's his name, Watley, Michael Watley, who's one of these party functionaries, in the Central Party, and used to be the head of the RNC, and now he wants to be a senator. There's no way he's going to be senator in North Carolina. He's going to lose to the Democrat. That will
Yeah.
happen. So the Democrat seat, the Republican seat held by Tom Tillis, will flip to blue with Roy Cooper, Democrat, and so there's -1 in the Senate. Hopefully, we get a pickup in Georgia. So yeah, you're exactly correct about that narrative. But yeah, maybe Donald Trump should have, you knew damn well I was a snake before you let me in, right? The
Yeah.
famous poem. You
Yeah.
know, that's what we're dealing with. I personally believe that there are powerful forces who basically have Donald Trump over a barrel, and they had him over a barrel in Butler, PA. They almost put one plugged one into his head. They missed narrowly,
Praise
and
God.
so then you've got what happened in Utah on September 10th. I believe that was just a reminder for Donald Trump about what these people are capable of and are willing to do. And if I'm Donald Trump, I'm looking around being like, guys, just let my kids do their business and I'll do whatever you want. Just don't kill us. And then he
Yeah.
sets his kids up in business. And that's how the world works. This whole politics thing, Tom, you and I were talking. This is not a game of beanbag toss, okay? Or
No.
whatever, cornhole. This is high politics is war by other means. And sometimes there is collateral damage. It does get kinetic at times on low levels. Um, like the Cold War. There were wars during the Cold War, just not on U.S. soil. Vietnam, etc. And you have to look at it like that. That sometimes, these National Guards soldiers got shot there on the streets in D.C.
Yep.
And so there will be others. I call me nutty. I personally think we have to look into the Rob Reiner thing with MK Ultra, but that's just
Yeah.
me. Um, Look, there's no question that we've got some weird stuff going on here with the way this whole Charlie Kirk thing happened, and there's no question that the ship of state is not headed in the right direction. Zero question about it. With the last couple of weeks we've had, $800 million more dollars to Ukraine and $650 million more to this Likud party down in the Levant that nobody seems to really support their wars, endless wars. We're in 4, 5, 6, 7 wars with different countries via these people right now.
Yeah.
Um, and on and on and on. We have 6G instead of 5G, so that the total surveillance state can sort of do 3D surveillance like inside of
Yeah.
people's homes.
And well, inside of their bodies.
It's insane, right? How invasive could we possibly get? And then they'll cure us with some special some cut poison burn medications.
Well,
There
I
at the
mean,
hospital.
remember, we've got AI medicine coming and it can develop cures in 48 hours. And remember, that AI is brought to you by the same people that brought you the mRNA jabs. So what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, right. Let's get an emergency use authorization. And you know what we'll do, Tom? I got an
Yeah.
idea. We'll just run all of the procurement process straight through the DoD.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at actually is the merger of the medical technocracy and the military. That is
We
what we're
are.
looking at in the last 5 years, Tom.
That's what COVID was.
That's correct. Yes, sir. And it's only getting worse. It's not getting better. So we have total failure. We have all of our institutions are captured. You can't show me an institution that's not captured. You can't. And
No.
and these people are not serious. The people that are in the chair with their hands on the levers.
No.
And it's time to get serious. Memo to Don. Memo
Mm.
to Mr. Trump. It's time to get serious. Okay. We need a functional rule of law with the DOJ. All right.
Yeah.
We need you to tell the legislature where what we need is we got to see some impeachments of some of these corrupt judges. Okay, so that why isn't our Congress impeaching massive numbers of Article 3 federal judges. That should be happening. Obviously, we've got
100.
problems with our Supreme Court. So we've got problems in every branch right now, Tom. And Don has the megaphone to fix it right now. He could fix it right now. But instead, he's going on claiming that he's doing a great job.
Well, I think he's doing the best he can do, but he's got too many snakes around him. And much like the first time go around, when you surround yourself with crooks and snakes and you take advice from crooks and snakes, you get the result that the crooks and snakes want. I mean, they've been trying to undermine him and subvert him from the beginning. And I got to tell you, my biggest gripe right now is with the Republicans that are still on this 5D chess garbage. I have never seen anything more ridiculous than that in my life. I mean, we are roundly and overtly losing in a massive way. And it comes down to some very clear things. Roger Stone said it best at TPUSA this week when he said accountability is everything. Accountability, accountability, accountability. If Donald Trump fires Pam Bondi and fires Susie Wiles and gets some people in who will actually hold bad guys to account. And by the way, folks, I'm a lawyer. Don't give me this bullshit that he hasn't. You need more time. You know how long it takes to put a RICO case? No, I'll tell you how long it takes. Look at the J6ers. You tell me how long it took to put them in jail. That's how long it takes to put a case together. That's a load of shit. I'm sorry to swear, but that is garbage on just top of garbage on top of garbage. These cases could have been done over and over again. I mean, we see the games that they're playing with the Epstein files, which, that's so important because we won't even arrest child rapists. We won't even put child rapists in jail, and we can't do it now. Pam Bondi's going to come out there and say, "Well, we need the victims to come forward so we know who to prosecute." You have truckloads of evidence, according to you. Well, why don't you go through those truckloads of evidence and figure out who to charge? Why are you putting it on the victims? It's a load of crap. It's a deflection. It's garbage. No, I know that you got to get out of here. I wish you could stay for another 2 hours. You got to come back soon because I get a boot out. We don't find a whole lot of other media guys that are willing to talk about the truth. And I appreciate you. Support Noel at the National File. Noel, where do you want people to go?
At National File on Twitter. I am at Noel Fritsch, NoelFritsch on Twitter. I cannot personally tweet right now because of the reporting that we did having to do with all of the Ashley Biden diary. We're the folks who broke that. And my guy, Patrick Howley, who again is a national treasure. But
Why can't you tweet?
I can't tweet because they want me to push a big red button and say that I'm guilty of some kind of child exploitation, and I'm not pushing that button. For all we did was report about the Biden diary. We broke the diary, and then we talked about it leading up into June of 2024. And now I can't. Elon, please, Mr. Elon Musk, sir, kind sir, please, at Noel Fritsch. We should not be banned from Twitter or X.com for discussing the Ashley Biden diary and the the graping of Ashley Biden by her dad, Joe Biden.
I didn't know that was the case. I mean, listen, everybody, make sure you're tagging Elon. I mean, we don't want censorship here. Well, I will say one thing. Musk has done a great job. Now, I know the algorithm problems. I know the talk about suppression, this, that, and other. And I'm not saying it's perfect. But Musk has opened this up tremendously, in terms of free speech. They don't censor. I mean, they may suppress. Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach, which I do grumble about. But it looks like they're moving in the right direction even on that across the board. So, I hope people will tag Elon and let him know because Noel's one of the good ones, and we need truth tellers out there. So. Thank you for joining us, Noel. Make sure you come back soon. We need more updates, and let us know. Let us know if you get anything more on Tina as well.
Yes, sir. We'll do it again soon. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. All right, there you got Noel Fritsch of National File. Listen, National File does a great job. There just aren't enough people doing that sort of work. So It's a big deal. So we're going to move on to some other things. Listen, we got Bondi up there. You know what? I'm going to hit this real quick. Mike, can we put my screen up there? I want to show everybody Pam Bondi this weekend. Man, this just irked the hell out of me. Says the Justice Department previously stated we'll bring charges against anyone involved in trafficking and exploitation of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. What's the holdup? What's the holdup, Pam? We reaffirm this commitment. Okay, what's the holdup? And ask any victim to please come forward with information pertaining to individuals who engaged in illicit activity at their expense. What? We have met with many victims and victims groups. Well, where's the charges? Where are they? What the hell are you saying here? This doesn't even make sense. Please contact myself or DAG Blanche, the FBI, investigate immediately. Yeah, the FBI's done a great job investigating. You mean the FBI that said that the Epstein files were fake? That FBI? They'll investigate, all right. We believe there's equal standard of justice in this country. You do? You do? I responded. I actually replied to this email. I said, is this a joke? You keep playing games with the law and governing the release of the Epstein files and then post this garbage? A trained monkey could have built a monumental RICO case by now if there was any real desire for justice. How about you use that truckload of evidence you had shipped to your desk and start going after the people who it shows abused children instead of putting the onus on the victims again? By the way, do you really think children who were raped have evidence of who was behind this? These are just more games. I actually said you need to be impeached. She does. Bondi needs impeached. I don't know what else. This is insane to me. This is insane to me. Are you kidding me? We need victims to reach out. We're going to go after who? You're going to go. You've got everything. Well, I mean, you've redacted half of it, but you've got everything. What the hell? My God, folks. This is insanity. I mean, it just makes me sick. This is the most corrupt DOJ I've ever seen. And, between this DOJ and Susie Wiles and all the other nonsense that's occurring, it's just insane to me. I do not in any way, shape, or form understand what's happening here. All right, let's hit some other stuff. So one of the things that is occurring here that I think is interesting. Let's see, where is this? By the way, so Mario Nawfal, actually, let's show this one too, Mike. So Mario Nawfal, speaking of Susie Wiles, post this weekend. I think this is important, right? The great GOP exodus, why Republicans are dropping like flies. You don't need a political science degree to see what's happening, just a pair of eyes and a memory. MTG was the match, but the fuse was already there. The Georgia firebrand didn't just announce her resignation from Congress, she detonated a narrative. That being a Republican in 2025 means marching in lockstep, swallowing dissent, and burning out early. That's true. Right now, if you don't follow what Susie Wiles says, you are going to be attacked, you're going to be ridiculed, and the administration's going to turn on you, just like they did with everybody else, right? So we've got this going on. She's not alone. 24 House Republicans have announced they won't be seeking re-election in 2026. Number is still growing. It includes firebrands, moderates, rising stars, and veterans. Some are running for other office. Many are just walking away, quietly, exhaustedly. Why? Because the jobs change. It's not about legislating anymore. It's about surviving purity tests, about navigating ideological minefield where one wrong vote, one post, one off-message interview gets you primaried. Ask MTG or Massey about that. Even Elise Stefanik, who was once dubbed the MAGA whisperer, isn't running for re-election. Everybody's going away. Why? It's not turnover. It's attrition by design. Oh, by design. I wonder who is behind that design. I think that's something we ought to talk about. And what's this mean for 2026? Disaster. Often open seats are soft targets. Houses hanging by a thread. GOP's front bench is vanishing. Democrats are going to flip the board. Republicans whisper what's necessary, clearing and make the room for the next generation. Republicans are throwing it. They're trying to kill MAGA. They want this media. Listen, the Rhino Party wants this midterm to be a referendum on MAGA. That's why Susie Wiles is pushing Trump out there. They want a referendum on MAGA where they can say, listen, MAGA's failed, it's done. They're done, right? A quote from Mario. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't quit because she was censored or sidelined or canceled. She quit because she got a taste of what happens when even she strays from the script and she's fed up. Imagine how the rest feel. That's true. That's exactly right. This isn't just a personal problem. It's a party problem, a morale problem, a system problem. That's right. But here's the problem. Mario's got this wrong. He says if Republicans don't want to get slaughtered in 2026, they need to do more than recruit candidates. They need to rebuild trust inside their own caucus. The Republican Party would rather lose than let Donald Trump win. Donald Trump and MAGA are a threat to the GOP. They're doing anything and everything possible to ensure that the GOP loses big, folks, whatever they got to do. And it's working, right? It's working. Now, I responded to this. I wonder who could be behind this GOP collapse. Maybe the president's Bush-loving chief advisor who demands pledges of loyalty and rules the executive branch with an iron fist. She does, by the way, folks. Did you know that you have to sign a pledge of loyalty to work in the administration? Yeah. Even cabinet secretaries have to kiss her ring or they're gone. Remember, Trump said she's the most powerful woman in the world? Ask yourself if any confirmed cabinet secretaries have been acting out of character. I don't know, Bobby Kennedy, who still has mRNA in the market, and why. You notice how the entire administration had to speak out in lockstep after the Vanity Fair article came out? Now, the administration doesn't come out and speak in lockstep when Trump's attacked. But when Susie Wiles was attacked, everybody spoke out. Why is that? I wonder why that is. Have you noticed when they do hit pieces on Donald Trump, you'll get people that'll speak out, but not too much. They do a hit piece on Susie Wiles, and in lockstep, across the board, every single person spoke out, every one of them. I wonder why. Next steps, make the midterms a referendum on Trump so that when the crooked Rhino GOP loses big, you can justify excommunicating MAGA, usher the Bush dynasty back in, and have the country move past this MAGA stuff. Writing is on the wall. Question is whether MAGA will unite and fight to wake up the president before it's too late, right? That's what's going on here, folks. That is what's happening, and we need to understand exactly. All right, let's move on. We got other stuff to hit, and we're going to run out of show here. I want to talk about what happened at TPUSA. There's a conservative split on Islam, right? So you got Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro fighting. Shapiro's a sellout to Netanyahu, and I'm not going to say Israel because I support Israel and I support the Jewish people. Netanyahu is not well loved in Israel. He forced vaccine mandates on people. He killed God knows how many of his people with that. And he's funded Hamas through Qatar. The guy's a crook. So I'm not going to complain about the Jewish people or Israel. I'm going to complain about Netanyahu. Ben Shapiro sold out, just like Mark Levin sold out to Netanyahu. On the other side, though, we've got people who, a lot of people are saying Tucker Carlson sold out to Islam. I don't know that I would go that far, right? He's gone a little too far on it. I disagree with Tucker on that front, right? Islam's got some issues. Islam is not compatible with the values of America. It's just not. If you want to be Islamic, you got First Amendment. I support your First Amendment right to be Islamic. But I don't support anything that undermines our Constitution or goes against it. So there's some issues there, and we got all this stuff going on. So we've got all this stuff about Islam, uh, coming out, and I think it's important to talk about because the debate about Islam is just as poignant as the debate on Israel. Right? There's people who are wrong on all sides here. But here's a really important, I want to play this clip for you about, this was a very, very fair question. Liberty Daily put this up, and they were talking about Islam. So let's put this up. Mike, can you put this up? So this is going to be a guy who posted this talking about Islam, and it's harsh, but let's hear what he has to say because it's a good question.
They attack Christmas markets. They are disproportionately doing terrorism. Look at the Philippines. The Philippines is like a 94% Christian nation. 80% of the Christians there are like, I think they're Catholic, okay? The only terrorism that ever goes on in the Philippines is done by Muslims. Okay? No joke. Like the only terrorism that happens in the Philippines, Muslims. ISIS East Asia. How's that for you? Because ISIS is almost everywhere now. ISIS East Asia. Terrorism there. Everywhere terrorism. And you have to sit back and ask, like, hold on. Is it possible that Islam has any, elements in the doctrine that make it disproportionately terroristic? Because it's like no one is denying that every religion has some sort of like a martyrdom concept and stuff like that. But does Islam have a doctrine that disproportionately makes it terroristic? Because if you look at all of the listen, people say, well, it's culture, well, it's ethnicity, whatever it may be. Islam tends to cause harm across all races and ethnic groups and across all regions. East Asia, terrorism. Northern Nigeria or West Africa, terrorism. Burkina Faso, terrorism. Congo, terrorism. Mali, terrorism. Egypt, terrorism. America, terrorism. Europe, terrorism. Well, it's like, wait, hold on. Muslims who are East Asians are committing terrorism. Muslims who are African are committing terrorism. Muslims who are white are committing terrorism. They join ISIS. Well, then it must be Islam then. Like, how's that? Is it possible that it's maybe just Islam? The doctrine of Islam incites or compels people to.
All right. So that's that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this, right? So I had an AI compilation put together of some stuff, some doctrinal stuff from Islam. Now, I want to be clear. I don't get into the isms and the phobias. Met some great people who are Islamic. Met some great people who are every race, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, it doesn't matter. There's good people everywhere and there's bad people everywhere. But let's talk about what Islam teaches. And this is an issue. This is an issue. I'm reading a quote from the Quran. And kill them wherever you overtake them and expel them from wherever they have expelled you. Right? Another quote. Fighting has been enjoined upon you while it is hateful to you. Another quote. And fight them until there is no fitna, disbelief or persecution, and until the religion, all of it, is for Allah. All right? Another quote. And when the sacred months have passed, then kill the polytheists wherever you find them and capture them and besiege them. Kill, right? Another quote. Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day until they have given jizya willingly while they are humbled. Folks, those are all calls for violence. Those are very, very violent statements. Now, in a religious context, that's a big deal, right? Here's some more, right? Quote, martyrs are alive with their Lord, receiving provision and rejoicing. Another quote. So let those fight in the cause of Allah who sell the life of this world for the hereafter. And he who fights in the cause of Allah and is killed or achieves victory, we will bestow upon him a great reward. Another quote: Allah has purchased the lives and property of believers in exchange for paradise if they fight and are killed or kill in his cause. Specifically, these are things calling for violence, right? Now, we can debate over translation, and there are people who talk about the context, but at the end of the day, the holy book for the Islamic community does call for violence, and it calls for violence against non-believers very broadly. It just says it, folks. I understand there's good Muslim people who would never commit violence, but the book says it. What do you want me to say about that? I mean, and I'm Catholic, right? So, and by the way, I don't like child molesters. So sorry, bad Catholic joke. But you know, we call certain people cafeteria Catholics, right? They're Catholics who I don't know. They pick and choose what they like in Catholicism, and to an extent, I'm probably a cafeteria Catholic, because I'm very open about my desire to have no one tithe again until the church quits defending child molesters, which they seem okay with. But there are probably cafeteria Muslims too. But the book calls for violence. How about the Hadith? Quote, this is from Sahih al-Bukhari. I have been ordered to fight the people until they say none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. So you fight people that don't believe like you? Another quote from the same guy. Prophet said, whoever takes up arms against us is not one of us. Well, that's probably true, but still more violence. The best jihad is a word of truth spoken to an unjust ruler, right? Folks, it's a violent thing. It's a violent religion. Now, I want to bring out one more really important thing. Here's a couple more quotes. These are about lies, right? Islam allows for lying. And it actually, you'll see here. So they call for violence and they allow for lying. So when someone who's Islamic tells you that there's no violence, well, they're allowed to do that. They're supposed to do that, right? Quote, let not believers take disbelievers as allies rather than believers. And whoever does that has nothing to do with Allah except taking precaution against them, right? So you're not supposed to mix, right? You can fake it, but you can't do it. Whoever disbelieves in Allah after his belief, except for one who is forced to renounce his religion, while his heart is secure in faith, right? So you're allowed to deny Allah as long as your heart is secure in your faith, right? So you can lie. And the disbelievers, planned, and Allah planned, and Allah is the best of planners, right? Now, what you have here is deception. It's all about deception, right? The Sahih al-Bukhari in the Hadith specifically talks, Prophet said war is deception, right? He says also in the Hadith, quote, lying is permissible in 3 cases: in war to reconcile people, and in speech of a husband to his wife. So, by the way, husbands are allowed to lie to their wives. Folks, the culture in and around Islam is not something that is resonant with the people of this country. I'm not saying that we should that everyone here that's Islamic is evil, but these are things that we don't resonate with. We don't understand. You can lie to your wife. We don't understand that you can kill non-believers. That's not something that resonates with this guy. It's not compatible with our culture. And I'm just talking about just some basic level stuff, right? Now, we get into female genital mutilation. We get into some of the Sharia law. It gets really, really ugly and really dark really quick. But it's not what it appears. Things are not what they appear. And that's by design, right? They're allowed to lie about it. So I just think that when we start looking at what's going on, we've got the war against Israel, and you've got some hardcore anti-Semites and some hardcore Netanyahu sellouts. Those are the two sides, right? I don't like either side. Then on the other side, you got some apologists for Islam, and then you've got some people who are just overboard on that. Let's just look at the facts, right? Let's just get to the facts and kind of look and see what's happening. Is a religion that calls for violence and lying, is that something that's compatible with our country? Probably not. Is hating people in Israel or Jewish people because they're Jewish or because of the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu or other corrupt leaders of Israel, is that okay? No. But is Benjamin Netanyahu a monster? Yeah. I mean, he funded Hamas. So there's just a lot here. And it's not quite as black and white and as simple as it sounds. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of this is, we got to get something. We got to protect our own. We need to protect our country. We need to make America first. We need to kind of refocus on what's happening. Because while we're having this nonsense about what's going on in the Middle East and all these other places, you got Wiles and Bondi not getting anything done, undermining the Republican Party, undermining Trump, and setting us up for a Democrat majority, which there is no greater threat to our future than a Democrat majority. So lots happening. Almost Christmas, folks. Merry Christmas to you all. Don't forget to support farmeasybank.com. Use checkout code RENS for your ivermectin Fenben. Everybody's sick right now. You need that stuff. And don't forget to check out our Christmas special, tomrenz.substack.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you for watching The Tom Renz Show. Join us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, putting an axe in the skull of tyranny.
Axe in the skull of tyranny. Swing it hard, swing it free. No more whispers, no more lies. Axe in the skull till the base dies. Iron fists and shadowed halls, echoing shout through the crumbling walls. Their flags burn black, their thrones decay. We take it back, we make a
The MAGA revolution in cryptocurrency is here, reclaiming financial freedom for every American. Tired of globalist banks and deep state control? Blockchain is our weapon for sovereignty. Be a step ahead with Animus AI technology. Ranked #1 worldwide, exclusively available through Block Trust IRA. But beware, the wild ride volatility and scams lurk. Yet, with Trump-era policies like the Genius Act, we're tokenizing prosperity for veterans and the heartland. Globalist elites are panicking as leftist-controlled banks scrabble in the dust as MAGA investors access revolutionary technology. Reclaim your freedom with Block Trust IRA.
Join the fight to protect your wealth. Go to TomRensCrypto.com and talk to Block Trust IRA now.
Listen live to The Tom Renz Show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern.